What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Not a Sheep podcast. My name is Narwhal. I'm here with my buddy Matt.
What's up?
And we're also joined by Nic D.
What's poppin'?
Thanks so much for doing this, man. It'll be super cool to talk to you about your journey because Matt's been listening to you for a while, and I just found you a few months ago through TikTok, oddly enough, which is, super cool.
Yeah, TikTok's pretty nuts. It's like super based. Like the algorithm is just, if your content's good, then you have a good chance of getting in front of a lot of people. And it's all like non-pay to play as far as I can tell, which is really dope. I mean, what I mean by pay to play is, obviously Instagram and other platforms, they drop your engagement because they want you to pay to boost your posts and to get in front of people. But so far, TikTok's just like, hey, people like it. Let's keep showing it to people,
Right. Yeah. It's like natural growth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and something that I heard at the beginning of when I was getting into TikTok was that they reward you for using like the built-in editing system in the TikTok app, that they'll promote that in the algorithm more. But from what I've seen, actually, I don't know how true that is, because I've seen a lot of people, like, you'll have, videos that are like high quality, filmed on like cameras and stuff and edited on your own or whatever and put up, and they still seem to, pop off as long as the quality's good.
Yeah, they do okay. I did recognize that, like what you said. I had a different TikTok account that wasn't for my music. It was for some like comedy stuff. And I did kind of notice, like, when we filmed it in app, that it did better.
Really?
But now, because that was a year ago when we were doing that, but now it's like I haven't noticed a difference really.
Yeah.
That's what you started with, right? That other account. I heard you talking about that in your interview with Ruslan.
Yeah. I started with this. It's called Holiday Now. We don't post over there anymore, but it's, got a couple 100,000 followers on it. But it wasn't anything to do with music, and it felt weird to like switch it over and just start putting my music on there. So I wanted to start fresh, and I think it's better that way. So my advice for like any artist that's doing TikTok is post consistently, post only your original content, because you can get realistically like five unique posts without reposting any bit of it out of one song. You got a verse, you got a chorus, you got a verse, sometimes 3 verses, sometimes a bridge, and you can create multiple content out of just one song. But my advice is to only post your original content, because I see a lot of people blow up off covers or off of remixes. But if you do that, it's strictly clout. It's like you just have followers and likes, but nobody cares about your original music. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to get lost in, being a remix artist, because then they're looking, they like it only because it's a beat that they already liked before, or, a song that they already liked before. It's not your music. So when your music goes viral for your music, then all your stuff goes up. Your Spotify goes up, your Apple Music, your Instagram, everything. Because TikTok, like, it's not a way to make an income as an artist. They got the go live thing, but it's a weird thing. But anyway, if you can get people off of TikTok and go check you out elsewhere, then it can be beneficial to your platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing like we've seen is we know a lot of people that have big TikTok followings, but they haven't been able to transfer it like at all to any other platform.
Yeah,
so
it's probably because they're not doing their original content or like original music,
Yeah. Well, TikTok, out of any platform, it's definitely the easiest to gain followers, but it's the hardest to convert it monetarily. And so how have you seen a lot of success in getting those followers to actually go to Spotify or to like Apple Music and actually start playing your stuff? Because it seems like because in the last 2 years you went from around 1,000 to like you're at like 68,000 now or some around there.
Yeah, like 65
on
yeah,
Instagram.
On Instagram.
Yeah, 65 on Instagram. Yeah. Because I only do my original music, so I'll give you my first video that went viral as an example. It was Mona Lisa, the mini jam session. So I posted it. It was doing really well. And everything that I wrote on the video and in the description was about my album that I just released. And Mona Lisa's not even on that album, right? So not only did Mona Lisa get a big spike, I'll use random numbers. Let's say I was doing like 15,000 streams a day on Spotify alone, right, across all my songs. And then after Mona Lisa went viral, let's say it went up to 60,000 streams a day, right? So just from Mona Lisa went viral, boom, but now the streams weren't all from Mona Lisa. It was from people digging into my catalog and listening to my album, because that's all that I talked about on the video and in the description. It wasn't like, yo, check out Mona Lisa, or yo, like, you know, whatever. It was like, I just dropped my first album, I hope you dig it, you know. And so people went and found the album. So yeah, and I strongly believe it's because it's just I'm only posting my original content.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's huge. How much, when this album came out, were you planning to release this at the same time regardless of what happened on TikTok, or did you kind of realize TikTok was popping off and you're like, all right, I should try and put out a project pretty soon to capitalize on this?
No, I started posting on TikTok after the album dropped. Like,
oh, okay.
Like I only started TikTok, my personal one, like a couple months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And the album was already coming out. I just wanted to drop a project on my birthday. You know, it's more like I'm not a really big album guy, just because it's not, as far as I can tell, it's not good for growth.
Right.
It's good for creating a deeper connection with people that already care about you, and then care about your music, which I wanted to do that. I wanted to give them something that they would appreciate and dive into. You know, kind of like a little snippet into what my journey has been like so far pursuing music. But I still think singles are best for growth, because you drop a single. You know, I just dropped Favor the other day. You know, Favor did really good on TikTok. And it made the numbers go up again, you know, because it was a song. And I only post stuff that's out already. I don't do songs like unreleased, you know, maybe release it one day. Should I drop this? No, just drop it. And then if it goes viral, watch your numbers go up.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think your approach seems pretty like straightforward. It seems like a lot of guys kind of try and overcomplicate it, or just like, but it seems like your approach is like, listen, I'm just going to make good music, put it out, and then just tell people about it in like the highest quality way that I can. Yeah. And it definitely seems to be working.
And I do want to say, like, it's not, you know, sure, it's high quality, but is it the highest quality? No, you know, I don't overthink the content, because content is king and quality is subjective. I could put 10 hours into a video and it'll flop, and I could record something in the back of my van and have it go viral, you know? So it's like, quality is so subjective. Just post it. Don't overthink it. Content is king, and be so consistent it's impossible to ignore you.
Well, relating to the van thing, your mini jam sessions, do you want to explain kind of to people maybe who don't really know what that is? Because that's kind of your little, like your segment, I guess, or like a series that you do regularly now. Yeah.
So the Minivan studio came about because of Corona. I have a photography business and a videography business. So I had a studio in town where I live, and I would record my music there. But when Corona came about, quarantining, I stopped going into the office. I was just at home. So I was recording at home on the couch, a kitchen table, wherever, and it would be, you know, it would get late. My wife and son would be sleeping, and I would be too loud. So I needed a new place to record. And while it was warm out, I started recording in my shed, like my woodworking shed in my yard first, and then it started to get cold. So I moved it into the back of the van, and it's actually a really good place to get quality sound from. But anyway, I built a desk in there. It had an outlet in the back. It was like literally perfect. I just had to run the van and record out of there. And then I wanted to start doing just finding new ways to post content and post old content, because to new people who just found you, your old content's brand new. So I wanted to go back into my catalog. You know, I released already, like at the time, you know, 40 songs or something, 50, I don't know. So I just started going back into those songs, creating mini jam sessions out of them to make them feel new again. And that's kind of how it went about. And then Cakes, my friend and videographer, he came up with the idea or the name Mini Jam. He actually came up with the whole intro, like just. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's how it kind of came about.
Yeah. Well, I think, like you said, people underestimate how good of sound quality you get in a car.
Yeah,
like,
that's
it's
true.
like it's basically a studio. It's really good.
It's phenomenal.
But yeah, do you get like, how uncomfortable do you get though in the back there? I feel like if I was sitting at like that little desk, I would get like, my back would start hurting.
Yeah, and it's, if you're in there for a long time. So like for me, I create really fast. And I won't go in there until I'm ready to record. And then back to, done is better than perfect. Don't overthink it. Quality subjective. I lay down a take. I'm like, yeah, it's good enough. Fire, and then I'm in and out, So I'm not in there for really that extended periods of time because I'll write it first, I'll throw a headphone in and write it and go in there and record. So, maybe 30 minutes, an hour at a time,
Yeah. When you do the mini jam session videos for YouTube and for TikTok, is that the studio versions, or is that are you singing that live?
Yeah, that's live.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah. On one of our previous episodes, like what you were saying about like you'll go through your old songs and do a mini jam session with those. I feel like that's super important because like having a catalog, like for new fans, if they just find like a TikTok of you and they go on your account, if you only have like 4 songs in your catalog, like there's not a whole lot to really be a fan of. But when you have like old singles and a project people can go through, like that's really important for a new fan because now they can like really dig in and become a fan of you more than your few songs.
Yeah. I'm a huge advocate for a deep catalog. So I haven't told anybody this, but I'm about to do a song a day for 30 days.
Wow.
And I'm going to post it on TikTok's going to be the main platform. I'm going to do 3 pieces of content daily. I'm going to do a mini jam session of it, probably a little vibe video, and then like a song breakdown. And I'm just going to post every single day on TikTok for 30 days and see what happens. Because, you get 5 of them to go viral. It's like nobody cares about the songs that miss.
Right.
It's like, who cares? They forget about them. They're gone. You're not going to overwhelm people with content. People consume content so fast, And if you have the ability to make that much music, then do it. Because, like I said, nobody cares about the songs that they don't like. They put the ones that they do like on repeat. So you just need a few of them to hit. And it also just adds to your catalog. So later on, when you blow up, now you've got 150 songs for people to dive into. So when your song blows up, so does your whole catalog. And it just makes more sense.
Yeah.
Right,
I think a lot of people as a creator, they feel like if they were popping off and then they post a few things that maybe don't perform as well, they get in their head and think like, oh, well, like people don't like this anymore. And then they stop posting, or then they don't post as much when it's like, dude, like you said,
you just got to keep shooting.
People, you just got to keep shooting. People don't care. They just keep scrolling and eventually they'll see another one. And it's funny that you mentioned, 150 songs or whatever, because I noticed in your song Lucky, I don't know the exact line, but it's something about like people think you're lucky, but you're like 100 songs deep or whatever.
Yeah,
What's the line?
Over 100 songs deep, they think it's lucky.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it's funny because it's clear that you've been at this for a while. It's not like it was just, oh, TikTok happened and here you are.
Yeah, it's not like you've only been rapping for a few months. Like
Yeah. I started messing around with it in high school, so years and years and years ago. And then I stopped for a while, and I finally decided to pursue it again 2 years ago. So everything that you see as far as growth and all that has been in 2 years. I didn't have a song on Spotify until I put a random song on it 2.5 years ago. But then I was like, hey, I'm going to pursue this as a career. So immediately I became, in my head, now I'm a small business. How do I grow a small business? Not like, how do I get fans? How do I do this? It's how do I grow a business? Because once you decide you want to do it as a career, it needs to make money, right? And that's the side of it. The other side is I just want to love people really well. I want to put out content that I think will inspire people, that, how I view things, how I view relationships, how I tell stories, how I choose to look at the world. And, Yeah.
What made you want to get back into it? Like, what made you stop, and then what reignited that spark to kind of pursue it again?
Literally, what made me decide to go for it was Justin Stone commented on one of my old YouTube videos, and he said,
so cool.
He said, "Wish you would have blown up." And this was like a video that was, 6 years old or something. I had stopped for a long time. And I was like, just because of this comment, I'm posting a music video tonight, right? And I posted one that night. And then, so that really like, and then, because I remember, I think, commenting back and forth with him a couple times on some of my old videos or maybe on Facebook or something. I don't know. And I remember where he was at. We were about at the same spot, right? And then seeing like how far he had come, I was like, dang, inspiring. I'm gonna go for it, So really, it literally was because of that comment, and I've told him that multiple times.
That's dope. Shout out to Justin Stone.
Yeah, we actually, it's funny, I didn't even know that story, but we've been talking to him for a while. Like, we've kind of known of each other for quite a while and been listening to him. And it's funny you mentioned that, because literally 4 years ago, when I was a freshman in college, I was trying to like make a name for I'm a videographer as well. And I was trying to make a name for myself in like as a videographer. So I was just emailing as many up and coming artists as I could. And I emailed like 40 people, and he was the one person that responded and said, yo, like, let's make something happen. And unfortunately, some things happened, so we didn't end up connecting. But now, 4 years later, we've like connected again, and like he's going to be on the podcast and stuff. But
nice.
It's just cool to see all the connections.
Yeah.
And it really shows how much a single comment can like impact you positively, but it also could be like affect you negatively. And I think that your album kind of touches on some of that side of it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, so so here's how I kind of view it, right? I don't take those things personally, but I'm gonna share them with people because and what I mean by share them with people is I'll make a song about it because like I don't think that's how people should act, like I look at it and I'm like, really. So like, for example, there was someone who I had reached out to for a feature, and I don't really do features. Like, you don't hear me on that many people's songs, and then I also don't have really anybody on my songs, right? So I reached out to somebody. Cool, it was set up, it was good to go. Sent a text, nothing. Sent another text, nothing. And I was like, hey, and just an update would be cool. Nothing. And I was like, hey, and one final text. This was over the course of like 4 months. One final text. I was like, hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and put a verse on it. It's obviously not a priority for you. I appreciate your time, and keep killing it. Love what you're doing. Right. Something simple as that. But from that, Iron with the Will, I wrote that song, and it's literally like a year from now, you're gonna wish you hopped on that song. That's like the main line of that. And it's just like, and that's literally how I feel. Like a year from now, where I'm at, they're gonna wish they had a song with me instead of not responding.
Yeah. Is it hard for you to have that kind of positive mindset? Like, I mean, it's a great mindset, but do you ever feel like ill will towards someone like that, or are you always just in a positive mindset, like, you know what, keep killing it, I love your stuff, like, I'm just gonna move on?
Yeah, I don't take anything personally, and I think it just comes with like, I think when people get their feelings hurt, they're just insecure. They might already think that they're not good, or they might already think that, so it means more to them when someone, but for me, I'm like, it's just a confidence thing, right? I'm not like, I know I'm not the best rapper, right? But in my head, I'm the best rapper. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't approach it like that, like,
In your project with, what song was it? What's the song? What's it called? How Many Likes Until You Like Yourself?
Curious, yeah.
Yeah, Curious. With that, have you felt kind of the negative sides of social media as your page has grown a lot in the last 2 years? Like, was that written as when you were already kind of bigger, or was that written back before you were really popping off? And have you felt like this weird idea of like getting a bunch of likes and stuff from people you don't even know, and like,
or is that more like you seeing it in other people?
It's what I see in other people, and then it's the same as a lot of the songs on there are about what I've seen as I've pursued music. Now, Curious specifically it's just people find their value in attention from, social media, like likes, comments, shares, whatever. It's a typical thing that people talk about now. Most of the time, it's just because they're insecure. They need the validation. Now, they look happy on social media. They post things on social media, but at home, off of it, they're still insecure. So like right now, I'm writing a lot of songs about people that I see on TikTok, specifically women who are too comfortable in front of the camera, young women. A lot of the just flaunting like their body, right? Which is cool. Body positivity is one thing. Now, doing it on purpose because that it's gonna blow up and get you a lot of likes and try to, and that's the thing. Like people, like these women are doing it, but they'll, cry afterwards, or they're searching for something, and they think this is what happiness comes from, right? Attention from men, or, and it's just not the case. Like, love yourself first. And that's what body positivity is. It's loving yourself. It's being comfortable in your own skin, not like, hey dudes, look at my tits, hey, like that type of thing. And
yeah,
so I've written almost a full album about me being in, the perspective of how I view those people.
Being someone who, you've made it clear, like through your music, you're married, you have a kid, your perspective is probably a lot different than
a younger artist who's like 20 years old, like trying to make music. Like they're going to view the industry and just everyone on social media differently than someone with a different perspective.
Yeah. That's often how it is, people.
Yeah.
People see it and they think that's how it needs to be or how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Relating to your song Wayside, and like about being in a relationship and trying to make music and have a kid and pursue all these different things while also you have is it a videography or photography business that you do?
Both.
Okay. A question I had is just like, for me and like Matt maybe as well, just anyone who's an artist, I at least have this idea that right now where I'm at, like a relationship would be like so much more of a commitment and like more time and energy that I feel like it would take away from the goal, kind of. And I mean, maybe other people don't feel that way, but for me right now, it's like a relationship, like it would distract from the things that are bigger in my head when maybe they're not. But I guess in your perspective, how do you balance everything with your business and your passion and your family? And like, how have you gone about navigating that while trying to do all these different things?
The woman that's right for you is going to lift you up, right? It's going to elevate everything that you're doing. It's not going to be something that gets in the way. Now, I have a media company, right? So first priority is my family, my wife and my son. My second priority is my media company, photo and video. It brings in the majority of income for my household. And then music, I do in my spare time. Like, I do music when I get a minute, same with all the content related to it. It's like everything and that's why, like, when people say I don't have time, like, no, you're just making excuses. If it's important to you, you'll find the time. if it's not, you're just going to keep making excuses. So, I literally run a company. I am home. I spend time with my family. I get the things done around the house that my wife, and sometimes I fall short here and there, and then I've done, grown this amount in 2 years, not in an arrogant way. It's because it's important to me. If it's important to you, you'll find the time, you'll find the balance, you'll learn how to do it. So no, I don't think for you specifically that you should avoid a relationship, because honestly, everything outside of it is temporary. Whatever you're doing now is temporary. The podcast, it's one day you're just going to stop, and then you're going to realize what was important, which is why my family's first. The thing that provides for my family is second. Obviously, I want the music to provide for my family. And And I truly believe that if I stopped my media company now and went all in on music and just did, balance my family and music, that it would do that. And I think I'm gonna give it a shot here soon. But what I can't do is put my home in a tight spot based off of my dream. I need to take care of my family first.
I like that. What you just said is like, you can't. Well, when you get to a point where you have other people depending on you and that like need you, you can't put your dreams ahead of, the things that are bigger. And I think
things that are necessary for the family.
Yeah. And sometimes that could get tricky because as an artist, people might feel like, it's like in your head, it's so big, but I feel like you have to bring yourself back to reality and realize like, that's not the right move right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what, I'm a full-blown optimist, right? I'm like, every song I drop, I'm like, this is the best song I ever made. It's gonna blow me up,
Yeah.
But my wife is a realist. Is a realist. So when I tell her, I came home the other day, I was like, look, give me 3 months. I was like, give me 3 months. Let me outsource the work from the media company. Obviously we'll make less money. But I was like, give me 3 months. I think I can do it. And we talked about it, and we're still not done talking about it. So, but but we'll see. But that's it, right? I gotta, and it's not like, checking in, like, hey, do I have your permission? It's like, let's talk about this and see what's best for the family, and do I have your support on what I think I can do? Because, it's like 3 months of no income or what I think is going to happen after the 3 months are up, so just kind of, take a little risk and see what happens.
One thing that I've noticed in just the, 30 minutes we've talked to you so far is you seem like you have a very like calculated approach to everything, which I think is just different from other artists we've talked to. And it's probably because you're, more experienced and, have more things going on. But I think it's interesting because a lot of people view their art as like this kind of sacred thing that like has to be done in their own way. And it's like, I don't know, you seem like you're going about it in like a logical business sense with like a plan and like, This is what we're going to do. We're going to see how it's going to work. Would you agree with that you're going about it in like a much more like logistics based way?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's nothing like taking shots at people who really value their art and art for art's sake, right? But that's what that is. That's art for art's sake. That's not like a good business model.
Right.
So, people, there's so many way more talented people than me with smaller platform because they're not treating what they're doing as a business, Now their stuff is phenomenal, but it's not getting in front of enough people for them to figure it out. And even if it did, their catalog is 2 songs deep. Amazing songs, but like you said earlier, that's not enough for someone to become a fan. That's
right.
not. And that's how I approach it. I literally approach it, just business mindset. I've grown a few businesses in the past, and it's not to take away from my message. My message is the main thing, right? I have something to say. This is how I choose to get what I want to say to a lot of people. And it's always message centered, but because I know that I want to do this for a living, I have to treat it as a business.
Yeah, and I think that's smart, but a lot of people just don't they want to do it as a career, but they don't want to treat it as a business, and you can't really have both. I mean, maybe if you get really lucky, but I think oftentimes you can't do both at the same time.
Typically, the people who get lucky then sign into bad label deals because they don't want to run a business.
Yeah, how's that been, like, being an independent artist and kind of seeing this growth and, like, I think you have a line, I'm not sure which song, but I remember you having a line about, like, something about, like, turning down offers, or I could be wrong, but do you have a line about that in one of your songs?
Yeah, I do. I know I just put it in a TikTok recently.
Okay.
That might be if you saw it on there,
But, like, what has it kind of been like for you seeing this growth and being an independent artist? Like, have you got different offers, and have you realized, I don't know, I guess, what's your approach going forward with everything?
Here and there. Nothing like, like Atlantic, is not hitting me up. Interscope's not hitting me up. But there's
Yeah.
like, subsidies of things and smaller things are reaching out. But it's like it's not worth it. Like, let me break it down for you. A $1 million deal, which is what often people 360, like $1 million deal. Let's say you have a manager or a PR or anything, anybody who you've committed a percentage of what you're doing to, that comes off the top of that, right? So let's say that's 15-20% of that already. Now that leaves you with, if we're going for $1 million, that leaves you with what, 800,000, and then your lawyer, who negotiates the contract with you is typically 5%, right? That leaves you with another, and then you're in a new tax bracket now, so that's 50% tax. So $1 million deal is like 300,000-400,000. Like, that's enough money to go. That's enough money to go right back to work. It's not gonna do nothing. Like,
right.
So because I know that, and because I think about it that way, I would never accept $1 million. And because I'm not worth more than $1 million deal yet, I need to continue building myself up, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I would take a deal in general, because once you get to a point where you're worth more than that, you're already making a lot of money. So
Right.
Is the point the money, or is the point to be self-sustained and own your stuff?
Yeah. I see a lot of artists talking about like how important it is to build yourself up, because even if you are looking for a deal and you've built yourself up, then like you're the one with the leverage when it comes to negotiating. Like, if you need them, they're going to give you a bad deal. But if you've built yourself up on your own, like, they're going to realize that you're the one that's really contributing to your following.
Exactly. The perfect example is the Russ scenario,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So Russ, built up, I'm sure he's probably doing like $100,000 a month, at the time, just from streaming, right? He's selling out shows, he's got the fan base, right? So he goes into a deal now with leverage, with like, hey, I bring a lot to the table. I can make you guys win. Let's partner on this, right? So he partnered up.
Yeah.
Now what he did, which was genius, was he didn't let them have any of his old catalog. I think he did a 2-album deal, and they didn't get anything of his 300 song catalog. Okay, so they pushed his 2 albums, right? I think he had to give him some of his top earners and put them on the album or something. But they pushed the 2 albums, right? Got him radio play, got him in front of a lot more people, built a fan base. 2 years later, he's out of the deal, and he got all his masters back. Now, because they pushed those 2 albums so hard, people dove into his 300 song catalog, which he owned everything of. So he finessed the label in a way. I mean, they obviously won at the same time, but as far as labels go, he finessed them. Another dude that finessed is Frank Ocean. He was in a deal. I don't know, I'm gonna mess up the numbers, but he was in a deal, 2-album deal. Come around time for his second album and the contract's ending, he drops like an album that's just not the album. He just drops like a little something that qualifies as an album. The label doesn't know that he has a whole nother one. Next day he dropped the actual album, and he had this thing set up. I'm gonna mess this up, but I think it was Apple Music. It was like a $20 million deal or something. He bought himself out of his contract, right? $2 million buyout, and then dropped that album the next day. So literally, he finessed the industry, used them to get clout, etc., fans, made deals on the side, and then dropped his actual album after he got out of his contract.
Yeah, it's
That's
genius.
dope. That's a finesse. Yeah.
And it's
I
like,
probably messed up the details, so don't quote me on the details, but
Okay.
that's the premise.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of our specialty. Just get a general idea of something and then just ignore all the rest.
Talk about it.
No, I mean, and I think that's why a lot of young guys and girls get, like, they've maybe never seen any sort of money in their whole life, and then someone says $1 million, and they're just like,
Why would
holy
I not
shit.
take that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of them go broke, because they get $1 million and they spend it like they have $1 million, but they don't. They have $400,000, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Which, like I said, is enough to go back to work.
What is the dream for you? Because you said you have this kind of plan to kind of see if music can be the full-time thing. And in your head, you know, if everything was to go right in a perfect world, what do you want to be doing in like 3 years from now, let's say?
Yeah, full-time music for sure. Having enough income directly from streaming so that in a sense it's residual to cover all of my, you know, obviously all my bills would be dope, but then even more, right? But the thing is, you know, I see money as money's good for the good it can do. The more you have, the more you can give. You know, I see it as like being in a position to really love people well and choose where my money's going, you know, being a good steward of the money. I'm a simple dude. Like just the other day, I got rid of all my clothes. You know, I didn't even have a lot of clothes in the first place. You know, it was like, but I literally have 4 of these in different colors, and then 2 pair of pants, a pair of shoes. You know, like, I'm not like a guy has a lot of money to spend on stuff. But you know, creating family generational wealth would be amazing, because when you own your stuff, the streams are there forever. You can give the distro kid login to, you know, your kid, and then he's going to be collecting on it forever. So, you know, that's obviously cool. And then I want a platform. I want to have a large platform to really just put some good into the world, you know. There's a lot of, it's authenticity over aesthetic, right? A lot of people just have an aesthetic a persona, you know, for whatever they're doing, you know, social media, their music career. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy that has a story to tell, a lot of things that I want to say, you know, and currently I'm doing it out of the back of my van, you know, like, I'm just, you know, it's simple, really. And then whatever comes with that is a plus.
Right. Yeah. Do you feel like you need a persona and an aesthetic, or do you think you can be just authenticity, or do you feel like there's something that is necessary about having this, like, this kind of online identity, I guess, or do you think you can just be fully yourself?
I think for sure you can be fully yourself. Now, this is why. Because if you're yourself, right, and you write about things that are real for you, the things that you share about things that are real for you, they're how you actually feel, they're how you actually act, how you actually talk, then the right people will gravitate towards that. And the right people, I mean, are people that relate. They're people that like you for you. And that creates longevity in your career, and not just like a hit song or like a couple years where you're popping and then fall off, because nobody actually cares about what you have to say. They just think you're dope for a little while. Now, if you can create a platform where people like you for you because of who you are, then that creates longevity in what you're doing, because they respect you. You know, because it's truthful because it's you. I will say this. People say, you know, some people say that the way that I'm doing it is a cheat code because I own a media company, right? So I have access to all high quality photo and video, right? That's a cheat code. Now, they also say, like, you know, you got long hair, you know, you got a nice beard, you know, it's easy for you, right? Which may, you know, whatever, some of that may play the key, but that's just who I am. Like, what am I supposed to do about that, you know? So I'm being me, you know, but whatever. So, I mean, you look at, you know, like, people love, like, imagine Max come up. Mac Miller. It was just him and his boys, and, you know, Nike's on my feet make my cipher complete. Like, people love that. People related to him genuinely, and he created a really solid fan base.
Yeah. Well, I saw one of your things on TikTok. You were responding to a comment, and someone was like, "Oh, this whole like minivan, like long hair thing is like a gimmick," and you were like, "Listen, this is just a result of my life. Like, this is just what happened. Like, I don't know what to tell you."
Yeah.
When people are saying like, "Oh, this is a cheat code because you own a media company or whatever," I also think that's funny, because it's like you're still making the content, and it is not. It's like a added skill that you have.
It's like the song "Lucky." It's like people are gonna be like, "Oh, it's just lucky that you do video," but it's like you still had to work to like get that skill down. And
you darn right. I had to build that company first. It's just, I mean, what you see is just results. It's just results of the work, you know. And but people always, you know, an overnight success is 10 years in the making. You know what I mean? It's not like. Rarely do you actually see an overnight success.
Yeah. How big has it been for you to have, I know you mentioned your buddy Cakes a lot, Cakes Mitchell.
Yep.
That's his name, right?
Yeah.
How big has it been to have kind of like a partner like that to do, because you've dropped a lot of visuals. You had, what did you say, Matt? Like,
didn't in like 2019 you dropped like 20 something visuals alongside
24. 24. Yeah.
24.
Wow,
yeah. So I don't know how big, or I guess what was your mindset going in? Like, I assume you knew, being a videographer and photographer, like how big it is to have this high quality visuals. So I don't know, what's the process been like with like having your buddy Cakes and just like producing a ton of content?
Yeah, I went into it, like I said, as a business, and I knew that visuals are super important. So I didn't want to drop a song without a video, which is one of the reasons why I did it every single time. Now, at the beginning, I was shooting them myself. I was, tripoding. I would have a friend hold a camera. And then a few videos in, ended up linking with Cakes. We became friends pretty quick. But he started shooting all my stuff for free. He just believed in what I was doing. He really liked my music. And then I was still editing them, right? I would edit every music video until like late fall. I think he edited the first one, like, because I didn't want to put too much on him. You know, I was like, whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's fire. I was like, if you want to just keep editing them. So yeah, he started, and then we would like edit just in the same room, you know, like throw ideas here and there, but he would drive, he would do all the editing. And that was the first year. And then ever since then, it's been like really a team effort, you know. For the most part, all the ideas are done together, all the, the concepts, and like I said, we don't overthink content. So my music videos aren't too crazy, you know, they're just something for people to watch. Now, I am going to start just doing the simple videos and just, doing like visualizers, put lyrics on it or something, nothing too crazy. And then if I do a music video, that joint's gonna be fire from here on out.
Do you think it's important for artists that are coming up to find a team and like trade work together? Because I saw a thing you mentioned before about like you would work with other creatives and like trade making beats for them or trade whatever it was, like for services. Or do you think artists should just pay each other and kind of stick to a more traditional route in that way?
Either or. I think there's a lot of value in the barter system because artists are broke, right? Nah, artists don't have money. Now, if you can build each other up, that's great. So if you can find people to barter with, amazing. If you can find a situation like a Cakes, that's even more amazing. Now, if Cakes stopped shooting my videos today, we'd still be friends, right? Now, like we're like friends, best friends. So it's not like a thing where, I'm not going to talk to him anymore if he stops shooting my videos, or if he's like, hey, like, can I get some money for the videos or something? Like, it's like, I've been trying to give you money for 2 years. Yeah, you can have some money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, the barter system is really powerful, right? Because as long as you're each providing value to one another, money is just another form of value. Money is a thank you for the value you provide someone. So instead of giving money as a thank you, just offer your service as a thank you. And then that's the thing, right? Like I said, artists are just broke. So if you can find somebody to team up with you, and I really think it's important that you find your own community, because you're like, make your own circle, right? Because circles are exclusive by their design, right? There's no way in. And if you get in, you're always like trying to impress the circle that you were in based off of what they were already doing, or, etc. So create your own circle. It takes longer, but it's more important, and you do things your own way.
Yeah. And when things kind of do take off or someone starts winning a little bit, it's like it
Everyone
feels
grows
better because
together.
everyone can kind of benefit from that together.
Yeah.
One thing that you mentioned earlier that I thought was interesting that I forgot to mention, but you were saying like obviously you'd like to get to a point where you can do music full time and like but that more money means like you can help the world, help people more. And it was interesting because just the other day I was listening to a podcast where they were saying like with money it helps improve your life up to a certain point, but after this certain point, like the more money you get, it doesn't really change your life. And depending on the lifestyle you live, like someone like you who you said you're pretty simple, like you don't need a whole lot, don't do that many like crazy things, like there gets to a point where making more money doesn't really change your life at all. And I think, I don't know, I guess I don't really have a question, but I just think it would be cool for anyone where you can get to a point where you realize I'm comfortable now. I'm not stressing anymore. And now I can use this excess whatever to like help people or,
help the family,
help the family or help other families or whatever. That'd be cool.
Absolutely. And I think Jim Carrey said this, you probably already know it, but I don't know, I'm going to butcher it. But he basically said, I wish everyone in the world could have everything they ever wanted so they could realize it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure that's what he said. But
Yeah.
I love Jim Carrey.
Yeah. No, I love him too. See, a lot of people think he's like crazy, but I'm like, dude, I don't think Jim Carrey's crazy. I just think he's got it figured out. I don't know. Yeah, no, he's like, I wish everyone could get rich and famous so they could realize like it's not what makes you happy or whatever.
Yeah.
Literally.
Do you feel that you like as a person, do you feel like the same person as before you started releasing music, or do you think that you releasing music, not necessarily the growth, but just putting music out there and showing, these full projects and these pieces of art, have you grown as a person, or how have you changed since you started releasing stuff?
I think I'm overall more excited about what I'm doing. Because it feels right, it feels good. It feels like what I'm supposed to be doing, which is how I base majority of my decisions anyway. Like things that have changed are like, I'm busier, but I've always created work, like just so I can have, I'm a busybody, I like to just be moving and doing things. But I'm busier, but the things that I'm busier with are intention. I mean, they're intentional because being busy just to be busy, is almost a waste of time. But if you can be busy and be intentional about what you're busy about, then, it makes more sense. But as far as changing, like my point of views and things, they haven't changed, I've always just been pretty like comfortable and confident in my own skin, and I don't need validation from people. Like it feels good, don't get me wrong, when people like my stuff, it's like, oh, dope,
Yeah.
That's awesome, like this song's doing really well, I get excited, it makes me feel good. But it's like I'm not, if a song flops, I'm not like, grr, everybody hates me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of probably my favorite song by you is Trust Your Insides. And I just really relate to that. And I think that what you were just saying is you feel like you're doing the right thing because it's what you're meant to be doing. And it's interesting because I was doing some research, and I learned that our brains reward us with dopamine when we feel like we're on the right track, even if it's the wrong track.
Right.
If you think
Right.
what you're doing is the right thing, our brains like biologically literally reward us for that, and you feel better. And for me, I don't know, I just thought that was like a really cool fact, because it's like when I make like a really cool podcast episode or like do something, even if it gets like 20 views or whatever, it's like, damn, that was really cool, and I just like feel good. I think that feeling of feeling good, obviously, like you said, it's cool if it gets like, 1 million plays, but even if it doesn't, if you made that and you liked it, you're gonna feel good regardless.
Yeah, and I will say this on that is, somebody somewhere is in need of what you have to offer. So if you put out a podcast and it gets, 1 view, right? But that view was of someone who like really learned something from it and like, let's say, went out and started pursuing their passion, right? Then that podcast served its purpose. That podcast purpose could have been for that person. Now, if you put out a podcast and that joint's doing 1 million views, it also serving its purpose. But neither one of those are greater than the other. You're still doing what you're supposed to be doing if it feels right. And like I said, changing one person's life is just as important as changing 1 million.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That's dope.
In terms of, we've talked a bit about your album, but in terms of upcoming music, you kind of hinted at the fact that you're working on a project kind of about stuff you've seen on TikTok and everything like that. Do you have any idea on when new music will be put out? Any release dates that you could tease yet, or is it just kind of still in the works?
It's in the works. My guess is just early 2021. Now here's the thing, like I said, I'm gonna do a song a day for 30 days. I was gonna do 2 separate projects before the year was up. Because I have so much music. I have an album written for my wife, Amanda. And then I have an album written about one of Cakes' relationships that just didn't go so hot. So it was basically like a, breakup album. So I got both of those. They're like, they're ready. They're done. Now, as I said before, albums aren't really good for growth. So I'm going to pretty much take these songs, release them one by one over 30 days, and then I will combine them into, their album form after they've already been out. So my goal, though, is sometime, maybe top of the week, I'm going to start doing that one song every 30 days. And I really think that's going to do something crazy. Or at least I hope it does. That's the idea anyway. But I think it's going to do well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, trends like that, not even directly related, but I've seen stuff where it's like, traveling to every U.S. state for 50 days or whatever. And like people like to follow this journey, and they're like, he's on day like 17 right now, and I just found him, so I want to follow him and see the next 13 days. And I assume it's going to do really well for you. That'd be super cool.
Yeah. And I'm going to announce like somehow, like in the video, I'm going to say, day 1 of 30, coming to you live and direct from the belly of the Odyssey. I don't know, whatever I'm going to do, but I'm going to announce like, this is day 1, this is day 2. Like, I'm dropping a song a day for 30 days, and they're all going to be available on every platform at the same time. So literally, I'm going to drop a song a day on Spotify for 30 days and Apple Music.
Wow. So that'll be really cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
One more question that you just mentioned, you were, you kind of have a project based on your buddy Cakes' like relationship. And you had a line that I was just wanted to ask you about that I wasn't entirely sure what you meant. You had a line, something about you're living vicariously through other people. I don't know what the line was, but something through other people's heartbreaks or something like that. Do you know what the line is?
Yeah, and by now I said, I've been living through heartbreaks vicariously.
Yeah. So what exactly were you referring to in that line?
Cakes' album.
I always wonder, when you're making songs, like if you have to make like a sad song or like a heartbreak song, is that kind of what you mean? Like there's this inspiration that maybe you're not feeling because you're happily married, but it's something that you have felt, everyone's felt at some point, is this sense of heartbreak. And so you can kind of feel that through your friend. Is that kind of what you meant?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I typically what I'm writing about is not going to be sad things. Now, I've written sad things, just based off of, in that moment, this is how I'm feeling, I'm going to write about it. But that line specifically, I've been living through heartbreaks vicariously, is because Cakes was going through, he was in that relationship. It wasn't like a good thing. He would, tell me about what was going on. And every time he told me something, I would just write a song about it. Because I don't have like that, I've been with my wife since we were 16. I don't have that like, those feelings, so, but I can see his you know, his pain, his frustration, and I can write about it, like living vicariously through him. You know, I can write songs about that and kind of how I view it as a third party.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks, man, for talking with us. We're excited for your upcoming 30-day challenge, and then hopefully, you know, another project come 2021. It's been super cool. Thanks for letting us interview you for a little bit.
Yeah, we appreciate it, bro.
No doubt. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys.
Where can the listeners follow you on social media and check out your music?
Nic D, NIC-D, and then I am Nic D on pretty much every platform. I only really have TikTok and Instagram. I'm really bad at social media, but
Matt, where can the people follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at the Matt Mogg, and then also check out my music on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music.
Yep. You guys can follow me at Hey Narwhal on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And we have a second podcast called Peak to Middle School, which is kind of the main show here with me and my buddy Kyle. So check that out as well. But yeah, thanks again, Nick. We appreciate it. And hopefully we can talk to you again, you know, maybe in a year or something when there's some more music out.
Hey, whenever. Stay in touch.
For sure.
All right. Thanks again, man. See you guys next week.
All right.